The massive alien ship appeared over Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning. Its size alone made humanity's largest space station look like a toy in comparison. As the vessel approached, every military base on Earth went into high alert, but no hostile actions followed. Instead, a simple message was broadcast worldwide. "We come representing the Galactic Council. We wish to speak with your leaders." Hours later, in the United Nations Emergency Session Hall, Admiral James Walker stood quietly at attention. His weathered face remained calm as he watched the tall, blue-skinned alien delegates walk down the center aisle. The military leader had seen many things in his 40 years of service, but nothing quite like this. The lead alien, who called himself High Counselor Thex, spoke in perfect English thanks to their advanced translation technology. "We have watched your species for some time now. Your recent achievements in faster-than-light travel qualify you for membership in the Galactic Council." Excited whispers filled the hall. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries. However, Thex continued, bringing up a holographic display. "We must discuss your current standing and classification within our community." The hologram showed various alien ships, each bigger than the last. Walker noticed how they seemed to pride themselves on the massive size of their vessels. Then Thex displayed an image of Earth's finest ship, the EDS Defender. In comparison, it looked like a rowboat next to ocean liners. "Your entire space fleet consists of only 200 ships, most of them smaller than our civilian transport vessels," Thex said, his tone carrying the hint of amusement. "While we welcome you to the galactic community, you will understand that your position must reflect your limited capabilities." Walker felt his jaw tighten, but kept his expression neutral. 20 years of developing Earth's fleet, and these aliens were judging everything by size alone. He glanced at the human diplomats, who looked concerned at this dismissive treatment. "We have decided," Thex announced, "to grant Earth the status of a Category 4 civilization. This will allow you limited trade rights and a minor voice in council affairs. Of course, you'll be under the protection of larger council members." The alien's patronizing tone made several military officers shift uncomfortably in their seats, but Walker simply watched, remembering the countless simulations, the revolutionary designs, and the technologies that Earth had developed. Technologies that these aliens, with their massive ships, had never considered possible. "We accept your generous offer," Earth's chief diplomat replied carefully, "though we hope to prove ourselves worthy of greater standing in time." Thex made a gesture that seemed like a dismissive wave. Of course. Though with your tiny fleet, it might take centuries before you can contribute meaningfully to Council defense forces. But don't worry, you'll be quite safe under our protection." As the meeting continued, Walker thought about the real capabilities of Earth's ships. The aliens saw only the size, missing entirely the dense packing of advanced systems, the revolutionary shield technology, and the AI-assisted combat computers that made each human vessel far more capable than its size suggested. Later that evening, at the celebratory dinner, Walker stood near a window overlooking the New York skyline. Thex approached him, holding something that looked like a glass of wine. "Admiral," the alien said, "I hope we didn't offend your military pride today. We simply believe in being honest about each species' capabilities." Walker smiled politely. "No offense taken, High Counselor. We're just happy to join the galactic community." "That's good to hear," Thex replied. "Though I must admit, I'm curious. Why do you humans build such small ships? Surely you understand that larger vessels carry more weapons, more crew, more everything." Walker took a sip of his drink before answering. "Sometimes, High Counselor, good things come in small packages." Thex laughed, clearly not understanding the hidden meaning in Walker's words. As the alien walked away, the Admiral looked up at the stars. He thought about the training exercises scheduled for next month, where Earth's tiny ships would show their true capabilities in war games against automated drones. But for now, let the Council think what they wanted. After all, being underestimated had its advantages. 3 months after Earth joined the Galactic Council, Admiral Walker sat in his office at the Luna Command Center, reading through the latest reports. His screen showed a growing list of attacks on outer colony worlds. The pattern troubled him deeply. "Sir," his aide, Lieutenant Peters, entered with a fresh data tablet. "Another distress call just came in. The mining colony on Beta 7 was hit yesterday. Same story as the others. Ships appearing out of nowhere, striking fast, and vanishing before help arrives." Walker rubbed his tired eyes. "How many attacks is that now?" 17 in the past month, sir. The Council's response ships always arrive too late." The Admiral pulled up a star map, marking each attack location with a red dot. A clear pattern emerged. Whoever these raiders were, they were slowly moving closer to major trade routes. Yet the Galactic Council seemed strangely unconcerned. During the next council meeting, which Walker attended through holographic projection, he listened as various species reported their losses. A small green-skinned trader named Mox spoke with trembling voice about losing 3 cargo ships. The council's response stunned Walker. "Perhaps," said Thex from his towering chair, "if you had invested in larger, more intimidating vessels, the raiders would think twice before attacking." Walker watched several council members nod in agreement. Their solution to everything seemed to be, make it bigger. He sent a private message to Earth's military command as the meeting continued. Back on Earth, preparations began quietly. The shipyards at Mars increased production. Training exercises doubled in frequency. Walker knew something the Council didn't. Earth's tiny ships could reach maximum speed in 1/10 the time of the massive Council vessels. One evening, as Walker inspected the new EDS Swift Hunter, Captain Robert Stone met him in the ship's compact bridge. "She's ready for action, Admiral," Stone said, running his hand along the pilot's console. "All new systems are installed and tested." Walker nodded, looking around the bridge that aliens would consider cramped but humans found perfectly sized. Every inch had a purpose. Where Council ships had massive, empty corridors, human vessels packed advanced systems into every available space. "How's the new stealth system performing?" Walker asked. "Better than expected, sir. In tests, even our own sensors had trouble spotting her until she was practically on top of them. The raiders won't know what hit them." A week later, another emergency council meeting was called. This time, the news was worse. A major trading hub near the Centauri sector had been attacked. Hundreds dead, thousands stranded. Walker watched the council chamber erupt in chaos. Species blamed each other. Some demanded immediate military action. Others called for retreating from the outer territories entirely. Silence. Thex's voice boomed through the chamber. "We will respond with appropriate force. Our largest battleships will patrol the major trade routes." "And the outer colonies?" Walker spoke up. "What about them?" Thex turned to him with that now familiar condescending look. "Admiral Walker, surely you understand that we cannot protect every small outpost. Resources must be allocated wisely. Earth could help," Walker suggested carefully. "Our ships are fast, maneuverable." A burst of laughter interrupted him. "Your tiny vessels," one council member said. "They wouldn't last 5 minutes against these raiders." Walker kept his face neutral, even as several council members openly mocked the suggestion. Let them laugh, he thought. They still hadn't figured out why Earth built its ships the way it did. Later that day, Walker received an urgent message from Beta Colony, Earth's closest ally in space. Their orbital stations had detected unusual activity nearby. They feared they might be the raiders' next target. Walker immediately called Earth's Defense Council. "It's time," he said simply. Within hours, 50 of Earth's tiny ships prepared for deployment. As Walker boarded his command vessel, he remembered Thex's dismissive attitude from their first meeting. Sometimes, being underestimated was exactly what you needed. The raiders were about to learn that lesson the hard way. The emergency alarm at Beta Colony pierced the night. On the main orbital station, Governor Mills watched in horror as 30 massive ships emerged from hyperspace. These weren't the usual raiders. This was an invasion fleet. "Send the distress signal," he ordered, "to everyone." Thousands of light years away, Admiral Walker was already awake when the call came. He stood in Earth's Strategic Command Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the unfolding disaster. The enemy ships were unlike anything seen before. Dark, angular vessels bristling with weapons. Beta Colony reports over 5,000 civilians in the orbital stations, Lieutenant Peters reported. Enemy ships are jamming most communications. The Council's nearest response fleet is 10 hours away at best. Walker's jaw tightened. "And how far are we?" "Our ships can reach Beta Colony in 2 hours at maximum speed, sir." The Admiral opened a channel to the Emergency Council session already in progress. The chamber was in chaos. Various species argued about proper response protocols, while Beta Colony's representatives begged for immediate help. High Counselor Thex's voice boomed over the confusion. "Order. We must proceed carefully. Our main battle fleet is assembling." "They'll be dead by then," Walker interrupted, his voice cutting through the noise. All eyes turned to his hologram. "Earth requests permission to render immediate assistance to Beta Colony." A moment of silence followed, then several council members began to laugh. "With your tiny ships?" one asked. "Against 30 invasion-class vessels." Thex raised a hand for quiet. "Admiral Walker, while we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, this situation requires proper military response. Your small fleet would be destroyed in moments." Walker kept his voice steady. "Nevertheless, we request permission to assist our allies. The human has courage, at least." Another council member chuckled. "Very well. Permission granted. Try not to lose all your ships at once." Walker cut the transmission without another word. He turned to his command staff. "Launch the fleet. All ships, combat protocols enabled." Across Earth's orbital shipyards, 50 vessels powered up their engines. Each ship, though only a fraction the size of the enemy vessels, hummed with hidden power. Technologies the Council had never seen were about to be revealed. On the bridge of his flagship, the EDS Defender, Walker watched his fleet form up. Captain Stone's voice came over the comm. "All ships report ready, Admiral. Combat AI systems online. Shield modifications are ready." "Good." Walker looked at the tactical display, showing their planned micro-jump points around Beta Colony. Time to show them what Earth's tiny fleet can really do. The journey to Beta Colony took exactly 2 hours. As they approached, Walker's fleet received updated scans of the situation. The enemy ships had surrounded the orbital stations, their massive weapons pointed at the civilian habitats. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "Council observation ships are holding position at the edge of the system. They're here to watch." "Let them watch," Walker replied. "All ships, initiate attack pattern Delta. Enable full combat systems, and broadcast this message to the enemy fleet." Walker stood straighter as he spoke. "This is Admiral James Walker of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are ordered to withdraw from Beta Colony immediately." The enemy response came quickly, a barrage of energy weapons fire that could have vaporized any Council ship of similar size. But Earth's vessels weren't built like Council ships. "Shields holding at 98%, reported the tactical officer, a smile in his voice. "The enemy appears confused by our survival." "Sir, let's confuse them some more," Walker ordered. "Execute attack pattern Delta. Show them why size isn't everything." The human fleet split into 5 groups, each moving with impossible speed and precision. Where Council ships would have lumbered into formation, Earth's vessels danced through space like swarms of angry hornets. The enemy fired again and again, but couldn't land a solid hit on the nimble Earth ships. Meanwhile, precise strikes from human vessels began disabling enemy weapon systems one by one. From the Council observation ships, stunned aliens watched as the tiny human fleet ran circles around the massive enemy vessels. Their small size, combined with advanced shield technology and AI-assisted maneuvering, made them nearly impossible to hit. Walker allowed himself a small smile. The real battle was just beginning, and Earth's fleet was about to demonstrate why humanity had chosen quality over quantity, brains over bulk, and innovation over tradition. The breaking point had arrived, not for humanity, but for those who had underestimated them. The space around Beta Colony lit up with weapons fire as Earth's fleet engaged the enemy. Admiral Walker watched from the EDS Defender's bridge as his ships executed perfect attack formations that would have been impossible for larger vessels. Enemy targeting systems are struggling to lock onto our ships, Captain Stone reported through the fleet comm. Their AI can't predict our micro-jump patterns. Walker nodded, watching as 3 of his ships performed a coordinated attack that looked more like a dance than warfare. They jumped in, fired their weapons with surgical precision, and vanished before the enemy could respond. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "the enemy is adapting. They're trying to predict our jump points. Time to show them another trick," Walker commanded. "All ships, initiate Swarm Protocol Alpha." The human fleet suddenly split into 10 groups of 5 ships each, where traditional space combat relied on big ships firing from long range. Humanity had developed different tactics. They had studied Earth's smallest but deadliest creatures, wasps, army ants, piranhas, and applied those lessons to space warfare. On the Council observation ships, the alien watchers couldn't believe their eyes. One council member turned to another and whispered, "Are they insane? They're moving closer to the enemy." But that was exactly the point. Earth's ships, small and agile, could operate in spaces where larger ships' weapons couldn't effectively track them. Like angry bees attacking a bear, they struck from multiple angles, too close for the massive enemy weapons to target. "Group 3, target their port weapons array," Walker ordered. "Group 7, take out their starboard engines. The rest of you, keep them distracted." The enemy commanders were clearly frustrated. Their huge ships, designed to blast targets from long range, couldn't handle enemies that got this close. Their weapons were too slow to track the nimble Earth vessels, and their shields were calibrated for heavy hits, not the precise, surgical strikes the humans were delivering. "Sir," Lieutenant Peters reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the Council observation ships." "Put it through," Walker said, not taking his eyes off the tactical display. High Counselor Thex's voice came through, sounding shaken. "Admiral Walker, what kind of ships are these?" "The kind that proves size isn't everything, Counselor," Walker replied calmly. "Now, if you'll excuse me, we're a bit busy." Another enemy ship's weapons went dark as Earth vessels targeted its power systems with precision strikes. The human ships moved like a well-choreographed team, each group supporting the others, creating gaps in the enemy defenses that their teammates could exploit. "Admiral," Captain Stone called, "enemy ships are starting to break formation. They can't coordinate their defense against our attack pattern." Walker watched as the massive enemy vessels began to move away from each other, trying to get space to target the smaller human ships. But this was exactly what he had planned for. "All ships, initiate Piranha Protocol," he ordered. The enemy commanders could only watch in horror as the human fleet regrouped into 3 large clusters. Like schools of deadly fish, they swarmed their targets from multiple angles. The enemy's massive weapons were useless against targets that moved too fast and too close to track. One by one, the invasion fleet's ships lost their weapons, their engines, or their shields. The human vessels weren't trying to destroy them. They were systematically disabling them. "Sir," his tactical officer reported with pride, 15 enemy vessels have been disabled. 0 casualties on our side." From the Council observation ships came more urgent communications. "Admiral Walker, what technology is this? How are your shields withstanding their attacks? How can ships so small move with such precision?" Walker allowed himself a small smile as he watched another enemy vessel go dark. "As I tried to tell the Council, High Counselor, humanity took a different approach to space warfare. We focused on efficiency, not size. On skill, not brute force. The battle continued to unfold, with Earth's tiny fleet proving that innovation and tactical thinking could overcome raw size and power. The Council observers watched in stunned silence as their entire understanding of space combat was turned upside down. The human approach to warfare was being demonstrated in spectacular fashion, and the galaxy would never be the same. Enemy reinforcements detected. Lieutenant Peters announced as 15 more massive ships jumped into the Beta Colony system. The new arrivals were even larger than the first wave, their hull designs clearly built for heavy combat. Admiral Walker remained calm, studying the tactical display. 20 of the original enemy ships had been disabled, but these new ones looked different. They had watched the first phase of the battle. They would be ready for human tactics. "Sir, they're broadcasting a message," Peters reported. A deep, gravelly voice filled the bridge. "Human vessels, your tricks have been observed and countered. Surrender now or be destroyed." Walker pressed the comm button. "This is Admiral Walker. We respectfully decline. All ships, initiate Sunset Protocol." The crew of the Defender grinned. They had trained endless hours for this moment. Across the human fleet, advanced AI systems synchronized, and ships paired up into 25 teams of 2. The enemy opened fire with a massive barrage that would have annihilated a conventional fleet. But human ships weren't where the enemy aimed. They had already moved, using their revolutionary micro-jump drives to appear in completely unexpected positions. "Launch the drones," Walker ordered. From each human ship, dozens of small, unmanned craft emerged. To enemy sensors, these drones appeared identical to the human ships, creating confusion about which targets were real and which were decoys. On the Council observation ships, the aliens watched in amazement. "How?" one asked. "How do they coordinate such complex movements?" The answer was something humanity had perfected over centuries: the merger of human intuition and artificial intelligence. Each ship carried an AI system that could make millions of calculations per second, working in perfect harmony with human crews. "Teams 1 through 10, execute avalanche maneuver," Walker commanded. "Teams 11 through 25, prepare for Operation Thunderbolt." The human ships moved in ways that defied traditional space combat logic. 2 vessels would split up, then suddenly reunite at a different point, their combined shield frequencies creating a resonance that amplified their defensive capabilities. The enemy's powerful weapons splashed harmlessly against these enhanced shields. "Sir," Captain Stone reported, "enemy flagship is charging some kind of super weapon." Walker watched as the massive enemy vessel's front section began to glow. "All ships, clear the target zone. Initiate lightning strike." The enemy super weapon fired, creating a beam of energy that could have pierced a planet's crust, but it hit nothing. The human fleet had already scattered, using their superior speed and coordination to evade the blast. Then came humanity's response. 5 pairs of Earth ships appeared simultaneously around the enemy flagship, their weapons targeting specific points with surgical precision. The massive vessel's super weapon overloaded and went dark. "How are they doing this?" The enemy commander's frustrated voice boomed over the general frequency. "These ships are too small to have such power." Walker allowed himself a small laugh. "Size isn't everything. Efficiency, coordination, and innovation matter more. All ships demonstrate Formation Phoenix." The entire human fleet moved as one, creating a 3-dimensional net around the remaining enemy vessels. Their synchronized shields created a containment field that the larger ships couldn't break through. "Enemy vessels are powering down weapons," Peters reported with a grin. They're surrendering, sir." The Council observation ships had moved closer now, their sensors frantically trying to understand how Earth's tiny fleet had achieved the impossible. They recorded everything: the precision of human attacks, the revolutionary shield technology, the perfect coordination between ships and their AI systems. As the enemy fleet surrendered one by one, Walker opened a channel to the Council observers. "I trust this demonstration has been educational. High Counselor Fex's voice trembled slightly as he responded. Admiral Walker, I believe we may have underestimated humanity's capabilities. A common mistake, Walker replied, watching as his ships began securing the disabled enemy vessels. Judging by size alone often leads to surprise. The Battle of Beta Colony would be remembered as the day the galaxy learned that humanity's approach to warfare, emphasizing efficiency, technology, and coordination over sheer size, had changed the rules of space combat forever. And this was just the beginning of what Earth's tiny fleet could do. 3 days after the Battle of Beta Colony, Admiral Walker stood in the Grand Council chamber, surrounded by representatives from every major species in the galaxy. The mood was very different from his previous visits. Gone were the condescending smirks and dismissive glances. Now the aliens watched him with a mixture of respect and nervousness. High Counselor Fex stepped forward, his usual confidence notably subdued. Admiral Walker, the Council has reviewed the battle recordings from Beta Colony. We have many questions. I'm happy to answer them, Walker replied calmly, noting how the other Council members leaned forward in their seats. The massive display screen behind him showed footage from the battle. Earth ships danced through space, their coordinated movements making the huge enemy vessels look slow and clumsy in comparison. First, Thex began, your shield technology. Our sensors recorded hits that should have vaporized ships of that size, yet your vessels suffered minimal damage. Walker nodded. Humanity took a different approach to shield design. Instead of trying to create bigger shields, we made them smarter. Our shields adapt and learn during battle. A murmur ran through the chamber. Another council member spoke up. And these, micro-jumps. Our largest ships require significant time to calculate even one jump. Size can be a disadvantage in faster-than-light travel, Walker explained. Our smaller ships need less energy to create jump fields. Combined with our AI systems, this allows for tactical jumping during combat. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. Walker could see various military officers frantically taking notes. What humanity had achieved with their tiny fleet was revolutionizing their understanding of space warfare. There's more, Captain Stone added, stepping forward with Walker's permission. The battle you witnessed involved only our standard combat protocols. Our ships have many more capabilities we haven't revealed yet. This statement caused another stir in the chamber. Walker watched as the realization sank in. They hadn't even seen humanity's full potential. A trade representative from a distant system stood up. My world lost 3 colonies to these raiders. Would Earth consider helping protect our outer systems? The human fleet's speed and efficiency would be perfect for patrol duties, another member added quickly. And perhaps, could some of our engineers study your ship designs? A third asked hopefully. Walker held up his hand for quiet. Earth is willing to help protect any peaceful world that needs assistance. As for our technology, we'll share what we can, within reason. But remember, it's not just about the technology. It's about the philosophy behind it. High Counselor Fex nodded slowly. Yes, we are beginning to understand. While we focused on building bigger ships, humanity focused on building better ones. Exactly, Walker confirmed. Every cubic meter of our ship serves a purpose. We have no empty corridors, no wasted space. Our crews train to work in compact environments, allowing us to pack more technology into smaller vessels. The display showed another clip from the battle. A formation of 5 human ships disabling a vessel 20 times their combined size through coordinated strikes. The Council hereby proposes, Fex announced formally, to revise Earth's status. Recent events have proven that our initial assessment was incorrect. Walker allowed himself a small smile. The status doesn't matter to us, High Counselor. What matters is working together to protect peaceful worlds from aggression. Speaking of which, he pressed a button on his comm unit, and the display changed to show a tactical map. Our analysis of the enemy ships revealed their point of origin. We've identified their main base. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Walker continued, Earth is planning an operation to eliminate this threat permanently. Any council species that wishes to join us is welcome, but this time, as equals. The council members looked at each other, then back at the human admiral. They had mocked his tiny fleet just days ago. Now they were eager to fight alongside it. Perhaps, Thex said thoughtfully, it's time for the council to learn some new ways of thinking about space warfare. Walker nodded. The galaxy was changing, and humanity's innovative approach to space combat had been the catalyst. The turning point wasn't just in the battle, it was in how the galaxy viewed warfare itself. And Earth's tiny fleet had led the way. 1 month after the Battle of Beta Colony, the combined fleet approached the Raiders' home system. But this time, things were different. Among Earth's 50 ships flew vessels from 15 council species. Each of them had spent weeks learning human combat tactics. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of the EDS Defender, watching the tactical display. The council ships, though still large, had undergone rapid modifications based on human designs. Their crews had trained day and night to master the basics of swarm combat. All ships report ready, Admiral, Captain Stone announced. Council vessels are in position. Walker nodded, remembering how far they'd come. Just months ago, these same species had laughed at Earth's fleet. Now they'd followed his command without question. Enemy detection systems will spot the council ships first, Walker explained over the fleet comm. They'll expect the same slow, predictable attacks they've seen before. That's when our ships strike from the shadows. The plan was simple but clever. The larger council ships would draw attention, while Earth's vessels slipped through the gaps in the enemy's defense network. It was like using a loud noise to distract someone while sneaking past them. Multiple enemy contacts detected, Lieutenant Peters reported. 50 capital ships launching from their base. The enemy fleet emerged, their massive ships forming a traditional battle line. They clearly hadn't learned from their defeat at Beta Colony. They still believed that bigger meant better. Council vessels, commence attack pattern Alpha, Walker ordered. Earth fleet, prepare for Operation Shadow Strike. The council ships moved forward, acting like typical large vessels. The enemy responded exactly as expected, moving to engage them head-on. They didn't notice the human ships slipping through their lines using micro-jumps and stealth systems. Now, Walker commanded. In an instant, the battle transformed. Earth's ships appeared inside the enemy formation, striking critical systems with surgical precision. The Raiders found themselves caught between the hammer of the Council's heavy ships and the anvil of Earth's precision strikes. Enemy vessels are losing power across their fleet, Stone reported with satisfaction. Their command and control systems are offline. The Raiders try to adapt, but they faced something they'd never encountered. A fleet that combined the raw power of large ships with the precision and speed of smaller ones. It was like watching elephants and wolves hunting together, each complement the other's strengths. Within an hour, the battle was over. The Raider fleet surrendered, their base disabled by targeted strikes from Earth's ships. Not a single civilian structure in the system had been damaged. Admiral, High Counselor Thex's voice came through the comm, filled with admiration. That was beautiful to watch, like a dance more than a battle. Walker smiled. That's because it was a dance, Counselor. A dance of large and small, of power and precision, working together. As the combined fleet secured the system, Walker received an urgent message from Earth. Opening it, he grinned and turned to his crew. Fleet Command has approved the Joint Training Program, he announced. We'll be teaching our tactics to all peaceful species who wish to learn. The news spread quickly through the fleet. Council ships signaled their excitement with light displays, their crews eager to learn more from the humans they had once mocked. Later, during the victory celebration on the nearest Council world, Walker stood with Thex, watching ships of all sizes dock together at the space station. You know, Thex said thoughtfully, we were wrong about so many things. We thought size determined strength. We thought bigger meant better. But humanity showed us a better way. Walker nodded. Sometimes the best solutions come in unexpected packages. Earth learned that lesson from nature itself. After all, it's not the biggest animals that survive, but the most adaptable ones. And now the galaxy has learned it too, Thex replied. Thanks to the fleet we once mocked for being too small. As if to emphasize his point, a group of Earth ships flew past the station, their small but powerful forms drawing admiring looks from everyone watching. They represented a new era in galactic warfare, where size meant nothing compared to skill, innovation, and intelligence. The tiny fleet had changed everything. And this was just the beginning of humanity's contribution to the galaxy. Sometimes, Walker thought, watching his ships dance among the stars, the biggest surprises come in the smallest packages.